If you struggle with shyness or social anxiety, check out our free No BS training course with actual useful advice you can do from home. None of that just get out there nonsense. The link is in the description below. For now, let's get to today's question.
The question, how do I overcome anxiety and overthinking? Answer by Karen Hartman. How I overcame my morning anxiety. The past. I used to wake up almost every morning with huge anxiety. Sometimes it was a full-blown fear. I dreaded this moment. Every night I went to sleep hoping that the next day it would be different. But it wasn't. I was suffering the very first waking moment. Immediately my first thoughts were popping up. Oh, shit. One negative thought was leading to another, up to the point where I felt an absolutely worthless human being. I compared myself to family, friends and people who they achieved something in their lives and felt like a nobody next to them. Here I should link my CV and you would be surprised that I am even having this thought. It often felt that everyone had a reason to live but me. But to my morning anxiety it made no difference what my life circumstances were. It was there when I was single or in a relationship, when I had a job or when I was unemployed. It was there when I had an active social life or when I spent a lot of time on my own. Sure, it could vary in degrees. But it nevertheless was always with me. While these thoughts were tormenting me, this was just minutes after waking up, and I was fully drowning in them. Very unpleasant body sensations were starting to kick in, up to an unbearable burning alive feeling. This in turn caused me to start thinking about all possible diseases and set another thinking cycle into motion. This morning panic used to be so overwhelming that I felt totally and utterly powerless. I used to think of myself as a victim of circumstances and of life. Self-pity added to my depression. It was as if during the night time I was at a peaceful rest, but the moment I woke up I was being sucked into this horrendous black hole. As if I was jerked around from heaven to hell. In my journey of overcoming anxiety I have completed various therapies and self-empowerment groups, read many different blogs, tried many different techniques to get rid of, cope with or manage my morning anxiety. I have started the day with physical exercise and letting out steam and emotions. I have started my day with a gratitude ritual, completing some easy chores and other routines. I have been watching my thoughts, doing breathing exercises or speak positive affirmations. These are by far not exclusive. All of this has helped me for a while and I am very grateful for having learned these techniques and tools. But in the end the anxiety always came back. At times even stronger than before. There were moments in my life when I truly believed that now I have got it under control. But just in the very moment I slacked in my efforts to manage my anxiety, it burst back into my mornings with a massive force. There came a point where I realized that this must be bigger than me. That this was an existential angst, something which is part of life and something which is not possible to get rid of. But you tell that to someone who is suffering. However, as depressing as this might sound to some, to me this was the beginning of an immense shift. True surrender had started to come into my life. How to overcome fear now. With Kun classes I began to see my anxiety and fears for what they really are. I realized that the very moment when I stop all my efforts wanting to get rid of this fear or anxiety, to cope with it, to manage it, to get rid of it, avoid it or control it, that very moment I see it for what it is. It loses its grip and its power when I stop feeding it. You see, with all of these exercises and techniques, I was giving attention to my fear. In not wanting it I actually kept it very alive. It is like seeing that I cannot fight for peace. Fight and peace just do not go together in the nature of life. Today, anxiety has not gone forever. But there is one big difference from before. Every single moment there is this recognition it is worth everything to me. It is the end of my struggle with life and the end of my suffering. Each time I see, it is so easy. Anxiety is more and more just a word and actually becoming my friend. Each time it is showing up I have a new opportunity to find peace in the midst of it. And that is such a relief. The greatest thing of all is that each time I surrender all of what I have learned, I recognize this peace again. Without an exception. Answer by Sei Joshi. If you are stuck in the cycle of overthinking, then it's high time to break out of this kind of thinking pattern and adopt a new one. Here's how to do it. Forgive yourself. The first step to healing is acknowledging that you have a problem of overthinking. Given that you are reading this article, it is time to move on to the next step, forgiveness. It's okay that you overthought a lot of things until now. But now, forgive yourself and tell yourself that you will think in a more positive and constructive way. Let go of what's holding you down. Realize that what has happened. If you stop seeing the world in terms of what you like and what you dislike and saw things for what they truly are in themselves, you would find a great deal more peace in your life. Patrick Jane, the mentalist. Most of the time in life we have to react to events as they occur because they are unexpected. No matter how well we plan, there is always something that does not go as planned. There are delays, things break, people interfere, the weather interferes, we become ill and many other things. In such situations, the best thing to do is to accept what is, take a deep breath and proceed to problem solving. What has happened is already in the past now. Don't give it the power over your present. Solve problems now. The key is being able to stop obsessing over whatever is bothering you and to move on to solving it. Or simply just letting it go if there is nothing you can do. Overthinking won't solve the problem. You need to be logical and act. Or as said above, if it is something that you cannot control, there is no point in wasting time thinking about it. Whatever will be, will be. Things can go bad, but things can go right too. All you can do is hope for the best and carry on with other activities. Spend your energy where it actually is required. Here are a few things that you can do. Instead, think about something else. When your mind is replaying the same thoughts over and over, distract yourself mentally. Trying to stop thoughts from coming into your mind is definitely not going to happen. So instead, think about something positive, something peaceful. For example, think about the things that you are grateful for. This day, the flower you saw outside the window, the weather, your best friend, your pet, or think about that amazing afternoon you spent with your family. Research shows that people who can refocus on positive or neutral thoughts or activities were less depressed than those who continue to ruminate. Later, when you're in a happier frame of mind, you can work on coming up with solutions and a plan of action. If the present isn't good does not mean the future won't be. Don't reach conclusions when things go bad. Worrying is a misuse of creative energy. Yes, of course, things can go bad. But they can go well too. Keep your mind open to the good things that will come your way. For instance, take two people. Each has to wait for a medical test result that will tell them if they have a severe illness or not. One person is worried sick and cannot stop thinking about all of the what-ifs. The other is able to say, "I'll see what happens." No sense worrying about it now if it may not even become a problem. The content is the same, each is awaiting a test result. But the way they each process that situation is different. Do something. As simple as it is, do something. It could be meeting up with the friends, taking your pet out for a walk, your hobby, making a snack, etc. Anything that keeps you distracted and makes you happy, go for it. If you have to do a project, just start it rather than waiting and thinking about every aspect of it. Focus on an outcome, the one goal you want to achieve. That prevents your mind from wandering to all the other things that could have an impact on your performance. Be your own friend. If a friend came to you asking for a solution to the same problem, what advice would you give to them? Follow your advice yourself. Don't be so self-critical. Whenever self-talk goes south, ask yourself, would a friend talk to me this way? Be your own best friend. You need to do some thinking because it is a big decision. There's a fine line between thinking constructively and slipping into a toxic thought spiral. Do not confuse reasonable thinking with overthinking. Overthinking wastes energy. The emotional cost and time cost are too high and the benefit is too low. Instead, sit down and make a list of pros and cons. Such a list would make your thoughts much more clear on paper than they did in your mind. The habit of overthinking won't go overnight. It is like training for your brain. Paying attention to the way you think can help you become more aware of your bad mental habits. With practice, you can overcome it and as a result be mentally stronger. Answer by Bunzel is. In Western society we tend to avoid the subject of death, and yet death is all around us. We almost never talk about it and we are far from familiar with it. So our attention naturally flows away from the subject. We know that one day we will die, but that thought doesn't consume all our thoughts and energy. Till someone close to us dies, and then the protective bubble of bad things happen only to others burst and we realize how fragile life is. With sheer realization we question our own mortality and of those we love, and that is natural, and anxiety is part of it, especially when the loss we experience was traumatic. Usually it gets better with time, the mind calms down, and we going back to normal again. But that might take time. Everyone is different. And if you finding the thoughts and anxiety too much to bear, seek professional help. Medication like benzodiazepines or the more natural CBD oil or valerian tea or tablets can give you instant relief. Other alternatives that can help calm down the mind: breathing exercises, long walks, meditation, swimming, for me work the best. Listening to music, laughing, talking about it, express it. Wish the best of luck.